Welcome back to Old Mountain Field and the Ocean State Waves pregame show. I am Tim Scott, and today I am joined on the Broadcasters Roundtable by Waves Media Relations Coordinator Taylor Archer, Gulls team publicist Matt Tonis, as well as the voice of the Newport Gulls and Rob Massey. First question I have for everyone's a pretty easy one. How's everyone doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing pretty great, Rob. Or Matt?
I'm good, Tim.
Matt. Yeah, good, Timmy.
It happens. It's been a great series so far, nonetheless. Let's start off with the away team, the Newport Gulls. What are your thoughts on Game 1 of the series?
Well, in Game 1, both teams came out hitting really well. The only problem was Mike Mertz's 8th inning really just turned the tide of that game. 2 home runs allowed to Ocean State in that inning, and that really was the deciding factor. Tim Lynch with his first home run since July 14th, and that was the difference in that game.
There were some offensive highlights, though, for the Newport Gulls as well. Rob, what can you tell us about that?
Well, I mean, the Gulls' offense was both offenses back and forth. Really, that game we had 13 runs scored between the two sides. Actually, I'm sorry, 11 runs scored between the two sides. We had a couple of big home runs. John Littell hit a big home run. Obviously, AJ Ramirez and Tim Lynch had a big home run. Offense really started to pick up until about the 8th inning. A bad location ended up beating Max Bierman right in the hand. Apparently that happens, but that's really where the offense stopped for the Newport Gulls, was in that 8th inning when they started making their comeback.
Meanwhile, Taylor, the Ocean State Waves wound up winning Game 1 by a final score of 6-5. What were the biggest takeaways for the Gulls from Game 1?
For the Gulls or for the Waves?
For the Waves. That happens to me a lot. The Waves.
Well, we had good pitching. Tyler Wilson, Richard Lovelady. They had good outings. Probably not their best, but definitely good outings. Offensively, pretty consistent throughout the game. But then not until later in the game, Tim Lynch really with the go-ahead home run. So that really helped us out. And then AJ Ramirez with the follow-up. So that's probably what got us the win.
Meanwhile, for the Newport Gulls, Quinn Brody, who pitched here back on July 9th on the mound. What can you guys tell us about Quinn and what he can bring to the mound?
Well, Quinn Brody's he's great all around, great hitter. As he showed yesterday, 2 RBI in that game. Great on the mound. He shut down the Waves here in Tyler Wilson's first appearance of the summer in one of those matchups at Old Mountain Field. So he's just going to try to go forward with that same. He's not overpowering, but he can overpower hitters. Overall, he has good stuff, throws all of his pitches 4 strikes, and that should go for the Gulls' advantage today.
Meanwhile, countering for the Ocean State Waves is Tony DeBrell, the right-handed hurler from Kennesaw State. What can you tell us about Tony, Taylor?
Tony loves his fastball. He can usually hit, low 90s with it. He has the most strikeouts for the Waves right now in the season, so I'm expecting a lot of hard pitches from Tony this game, long innings.
So meanwhile, the Newport Gulls currently down in the series 1-0 with a big Game 2 tonight. What do you think is going to be the biggest key, Rob, for the Gulls to come ahead with a victory in Game 2?
Score more runs. That's what it comes down to. This is a Gulls team that has hit every Ocean State Waves pitcher hard, with the exception of the possible Game 3 starter in Ryan Gray. That was a great performance in Game 1 of the doubleheader last week. But the Gulls have hit Tony DeBrell very hard. In the fact, the last time they faced Tony DeBrell, 4 unanswered runs on 7 hits in an inning where they batted around. That was one of the rain-shortened games of the Pell Bridge series. For the defense, play as well as you have been. Quite honestly, there were no mistakes last night for the Newport Gulls defense. Liam Sabino was spectacular at shortstop. Reed Gamache also played a solid second base. Shea Donlin will be returning to the lineup tonight for the Newport Gulls. That means the heart of this team is back. That is going to be a fire starter in this lineup. Donlin has not seen live pitching in about 8 days. That being said, he looks very good out there at second base. So it'll be interesting to see how Mike Coombs shakes up the lineup. That being said, too, I think Quinn Brody will probably be in the lineup offensively as well as on the mound, which is going to be a big threat for the Ocean State Waves.
Matt, what do you think the biggest key for the Gulls is tonight?
Just like Rob said, just keep hitting. Yesterday, he finally got back to that offense that you were working with a couple weeks ago before this recent losing streak. But they were jumping on first pitches. They were being aggressive, and that's something that the Gulls really got away from. And if they can jump on Tony DeBrell early, this could be a good one for Newport.
This is also a spot that at least two of these Newport Gulls have been in last year in Reed Gamache and Shea Donlin. They were down 1-0 against the Ocean State Waves, and they know what it's like to come back against this team, being on the road in a must-win situation. These guys last night, I spoke to Reed Gamache in the post-game show. He said immediately after we went off the air, this game's done. I'm not even thinking about it. We're going into Ocean State into Ocean State tomorrow, and we're going to win.
Taylor, what do you think the biggest key for the Ocean State Waves is going to be tonight?
I mean, I've said before, we need to be more consistent throughout the entire lineup with our hitting. We can't rely, later in the game with the middle of our lineup to get the hits in. So just consistent hitting throughout the lineup.
Thanks, Taylor, Matt, and Rob. We'll have a lot more coming up next for you here on the NECBL Broadcast Network.